Chapter with Covenant Technologies and CPQ Sync by Cincom. I appreciate everybody's time this afternoon, and I would like to introduce our presenter. Our first presenter is Rick Mccutchen, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about who Cincom is, take you through our agenda, and then he'll turn it over for some conversation with Covenant as well. So Rick, thank you for participating today, and I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Susan. So just a couple of things we want to talk about. Cincom Solutions, or they're the parent company for Cpq Sync. They've been independently owned for over 50 years and have spent a long time in the CPQ market. They have over 400 employees in 14 countries and are gold managed partners for Microsoft. And they're also in the Microsoft co-sell program. So they're certified for Dynamics 365. And you're going to see that, once you get to know a little more about Cincom, they're world-class players. And this is what we call our NASCAR slide with all the different company logos on it. So, as you get more involved looking at the product and wanting to look at some different companies that have used Cincom CPQ products, there's going to be lots to choose from. So I'll introduce myself quickly. Rick Mccutchen. I'm a Dynamics 365 MVP, and I'll be doing a big portion of today's session and talking about the CPQ market. But David, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Rick. And I'll be brief in my remarks. So I'm David Friedrichs, the CFO and also the business applications lead at Covenant Technology Partners. I've been with Covenant for about 6 years now, and really enjoyed that time. So Covenant is a Microsoft Gold partner. We were founded in 2004. We're located in St. Louis, Missouri. We currently serve clients, locally, nationally, and internationally. We have practices in data analytics, Microsoft 365, application development, and of course, business applications. And today we offer all solutions across all three Microsoft clouds, whether that's Azure, the M365 cloud, or Dynamics. We have a number of industries that we work in. Our specialization industries are really manufacturing, healthcare, and financial services, but you could run down the list, and we've probably done work in just about any industry. And specifically our business applications practice, we have solution offerings in both the finance and operations space, or the ERP space, as well as the CRM or customer engagement. Those terms really change all the time. We've been engaged with Cincom since 2019. Currently have one fully certified consultant with a CPQ Sync implementation certification, and others in the practice are in various stages of achieving their certifications. So we're excited to be with you, Rick and Susan, today as you go through this presentation on quote to cash. And with that, we'll flip things back over to you, Rick.
David, appreciate it. So what is CPQ, or quote to cash? Really, it's a system of really how do we configure, price, quote our products, and they're used by a wide variety of companies. So companies that sell customizable or complex products and services that have to be sort of packaged up. And companies with multiple product offering, channel dealers, brands or subsidiaries, geographies, language, and currencies. So I'm a CRM MVP, so I've been around the space for over 20 years, and I've seen companies use CPQ in a number of ways. Mostly today, though, we're still seeing a lot of companies running on spreadsheets or old homegrown CPQ products. So we're going to really kind of dive into that today to better understand why using a product like Cpq Sync is really going to make sense. So some important criteria around who can use this product. It's important that you run on the Microsoft Dynamics 365 sales stack, or actually the Power Platform. It's compatible with that now too. And the ERP systems, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations. And, through linking to Dynamics Sales, we can link back to, just about any of the other ERP systems. So today we're busy displacing homegrown in-house development systems. And there's probably 25% of the world still has these type of systems that somebody has configured together with their ERP system or their CRM system, where they're trying to, manage that whole sort of pricing workflow. We're seeing people, starting to say, okay, these systems don't do what I need to do, and they're really moving their software platform standardization to Dynamics 365 or Office 365 and Azure. So we're seeing sort of a big movement of what we call in the Microsoft world of digital transformation. We're also seeing, again, I said legacy CPQ products and configuration tools, many manual processes, and again, the number one CRM in the world and the number one CPQ product in the world is a spreadsheet. So what can we do to be able to displace those? If you're not, can you please put your microphone on mute? I can hear somebody in the background. Thank you. So CPQ applies to many industries. I like this pie chart because it really kind of breaks it down. So we have manufacturing, high tech, business consumer goods, agriculture, mining and construction, financial services, vehicle transports, and equipment. So it really covers a variety of organizations, but I think it really kind of goes back to, do you have a price book, a set of products, a set of services that has to be configured to be able to quote? And that is sort of the key to success when looking at a CPQ system. So what makes CpQ Sync from Cincom different? Well, it's built entirely on top of Azure, and Azure is the Microsoft cloud, driving both Azure and Dynamics consumption. So it links back to the core Microsoft technology. Number two, maintenance is point and click, no code, right? So this is a solution built for Dynamics. So we avoid customizations and custom coding applications. This sits in as a solution within your CRM system. So, through those upgrades and maintenance, this is taken care of as well. CpQ Sync is cloud-based rules engine for rules and pricings, not a database, which is really important when it comes to ease of use, running an application in the same interface that you're using today. And I'm sure Sergey is going to be talking more about this in his presentation. The last thing, solution-based selling instead of just quoting line items, including native document and generation. So I went to a presentation a few years ago where they were showing Cincom CPQ, and they were comparing it to a quote that was made off of just Excel spreadsheets and Word, and you could see a big difference between the two products, but also the time it took. They were talking about the time it took the sales reps actually to build a more secure, a more accurate quote, was like 25% of the time that it would through an Excel spreadsheet and Word document, let alone updating it and managing changes in it. So lots of good reasons. The ROI is very strong on CpQ Sync. So whose business problems does CpQ Sync solve? Well, it's kind of right across the organization. And it streamlines a lot of manual systems, but not only manual systems, but standalone systems, right? Things that have to be updated, things that have to be sort of maintained separately. So we're going to go through quickly, and then I'll go into some detail on this. Sales, faster quoting, higher user adoption, higher satisfaction rate in your employees. Finance, efficient and accurate quotes, proposal generation, eliminate multiple reviews. Operations, more insight into pipeline, quote to cash system, reallocate personnel, and as well, like inventory control. Do I have enough of this product to manage this pipeline? Should I order more from manufacturing? How much is in our pipeline today? We can accurately go and start to show you that because of our integrations into Dynamics and back-end ERP systems. And again, information technology. Really, secure data is the reason here. So you're going to have multi-tenant SAS solution, centralized data, so it's not floating around on a lot of spreadsheet, and a rules-based engine that can treat the same calculations and the same information that we're using consistently all the time and really alert you on any errors. So what do we know we need a CPQ? We're missing revenue goals, too many manual processes. And if you see our lady here with her head in our price books, you kind of realize this is what your sales team does. And, I've done a lot of work on sales productivity, over my career, and sales reps spend about 25% of their time actually selling and 75% of their time doing stuff. And this is the kind of stuff they're doing, this heavy administration. So if your sales reps spend 25% of their time selling and they have a quota of $1 million a year and they hit their quota, then every hour of their time is worth something like $43,000, or every percentage of time is worth $43,000. So keeping these people selling, keeping them productive is really, really important. So having issues with tracking profitable deals. Again, sales team I was working with, and we had them using a CPQ product, and they were said, well, we were comfortable doing this on spreadsheets. And at the end of the training session, one of the reps came to me and says, let me show you what I go through. And he went in and showed me his file management system. He was selling to a major packaged good company, and he was doing all the compressor selling, maintenance, parts, all this. And he showed me how many quotes he created for this packaged goods company, hundreds of quotes a year. And he says, it's okay if you ask me what quote we looked at last week, but ask me what quote we looked at 3 months ago. He said, I could spend all day looking for the right quote. So that's what this is about, tracking the profitable deals. I talked about slow quoting time, no logics on pricing and inaccurate pricing. These two play a big fact. In fact, we've seen situations where during the implementation of CRM, the discussion was, well, people know if they go to our US sales team and get something priced out, or if they go to one of our offshore distributors and get things priced out, they're going to get very different pricing. So once people learn that, they start to do it, start comparing pricing. If I had a CPQ system that everybody was using, they couldn't do that because we would see they're being quoted this price in this region. So we could, very accurately make sure that every time they get a quote, it's going to be very close to the original. Sales operations, many challenges here. Or overcoming resistance to change. So that goes back to if they're using Dynamics and we've got user adoption up and they're using it, and we just give them a complete same interface. In fact, when Sergey shows you this, you're not going to know you jumped out of Dynamics, right? You're going to be right in Dynamics doing your quoting. Adoption of processes and programs, measurement and reporting on programs, delivering a consistent positive customer experience, information and data aggregation, access and dissemination. So overall, it's going to improve not only the operations of your sales team, but the people supporting it are going to have a much better environment, and the reporting you're going to get is going to be, a far cry from what you get today. And again, on reporting, when we have disjointed systems, you just don't get the same amount of reports or the accuracy of reports because they're too much work to build. Well, with this type of system, it's at your fingertips, and you have a set of dashboards right within Dynamics that can manage the whole thing. Okay, challenges around information technology, right? And it really becomes the management of data, right? Too much data, inaccurate data. How do I report on this data? How do I secure this data? Like who has access to it? Who's looking at it? Who's changed it? Like we can tell all that when we work in a Dynamics 365 environment. But if you're working on a bunch of spreadsheets, it's chaos, right? It's just information's all over the place. You just can't management secure it. And at the end of the day, you can't trust that data, which is accurate. So when we're talking about ROI, we're talking on the data sides, is this tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or in some organizations, is this into the millions? Depending on who it is and what they're doing, it's important. So are sales and engineering maintaining different data sets? In the most cases, yes, they are, and they shouldn't be. Are they allowing the creation of invalid configurations? This is important because if we talk to sales reps in organizations where they have to configure products, the experienced ones get it right. It's the one you're ramping up, the newer sales rep, someone who's been there less than 6 months, they get really frustrated because they just don't know, all the terms, all the products, what's connected to what, and you can't build that out in a set of spreadsheets. And does it take too long to make a change to the current tool? How can it be updated? How can it be maintained? So that's enough from me. I'm going to send it over to Sergey now, and he is going to show you how CPQ Sync is going to make life simpler for sales, customer service, senior management, finance, pretty much your whole operation, people that are partner facing and customer facing. Sergey, over to you.
Thank you, Rick, for the introduction. I hope everybody can see the screen. I'm going to be sharing a little bit of the day in the life of CPQ Sync as it lives in Dynamics. And without further ado, I'll jump right into it. So I'll cut my camera. We'll start the show. So as you can see, this is the Dynamics landscape. Should be familiar to most of us. And as a salesperson, this is how I could start my day, right? I'm looking at my forecast, what have I sold lately? I have a quota to hit. I'm coming to the end of the quarter. A lot of work to do. So I'm going to start out the journey as I was, trying to close some business. So I may start over here in my quotes, and luck have it, I've been working with this John Doe, and he wants to continue the conversation. And today we're going to be working on a manufactured item and continue the configuration and figure out exactly what the needs that this customer has to have for this product. So I'm still inside Dynamics here, and I'm just going to review all my information, make sure everything's tight, and we're going to go ahead and start the journey. So I may have Joe on the phone or what have you. And when I start out, as you see at the top here, I had two buttons that kind of snuck in under the radar: configure quote and generate proposal. These are part of our independent software vendor offering to Microsoft and the Dynamics community, which is CPQ Sync. And so it's completely embedded experience. I'm still inside the Dynamics layout. And what presented itself when I started the configure quote is my catalog of services. I'm going to go ahead and expand this so we get a better view of what's happening. And what you see is a layout of lots of different catalog items. We call these modules. And these represent everything from a configured manufactured item or a solution or somewhere in the middle. A lot of the products or services that we sell are just not standalone tangible products. And they may have accompany other services that support that, such as professional services. And we have ways to articulate that as an output. But today we're going to be working with this manufactured item. I'll start the journey there. And we'll touch on a couple of pieces Rick was calling out in his dialogue. So the first of which is, again, you got to remember CPQ Sync is designed to be a rules-based engine, logic driven around the product itself. So less about the core products, more about how do you go about selecting the right products, level setting that sales team. So the first thing that we have developed here in this example is just showcasing our hide and reveal rule set, which is supporting guided selling. So, a salesperson is going to be asking questions of the customer. We've kind of boxed them into some solutions, some outputs here. And so let's say that he's asking the customer, what are you using this for, Joe? Well, it's for a machine shop. Well, there we go. We got a machine shop. And we're already presented with the best options that fit specifically for a machine shop. So when you think about tribal knowledge, that was pretty simple. But if you had somebody new in the organization, and you can imagine that could get a lot more complex, now everybody's dealing with the same information. So the person that's been there 15 years, is now competing with the person that's been there 6 months. If they just ask the same questions, they're going to have the same output. From our example here, we can even add further indicators that this DG series, for example, would be the best fit based on the machine shop. There could be predefined logic to help funnel into folks into that selection. I'll start there and move further into our configuration. And it's added to our cart. We do have a card series layout. I can even switch it to kind of a line item, familiar Amazon or e-commerce type of experience as well. And even from here, I could spin back out and send out a budgetary estimate if I wanted to. This deal isn't progressing, just want to get pricing. And that's what our generate proposal is going to emulate everything that all the changes I made within the product itself. But today we want to continue the configuration journey. So I'm going to go ahead and further start the configuration, I want to show a couple different rules, logic, and constraints, as well as relationships here that we've built in. I'll skip over these look, touch, and feel items. Those aren't really as exciting as something like this. So as a salesperson, warranty service or other support services could be margin. I'm sure leadership wants me to sell those types of programs and services, and they're also a better customer experience. So in asking the customer, about the warranty programs, I'm now hit what we call a hide reveal rule set that triggers more information to be presented and more options. And then from here, based on logic input into the system, I have a formula-based tiered response. So by default, it's showing me a warranty bronze package. And if I just have a simple conversation with a customer trying to figure out what their use case is, and we find that it's greater than 24 hours a week, we punch that into the system, into Cpq Sync, and the output's going to be the gold package. So it's a good example, again, when you're talking about tribal knowledge, keeping folks in the deal, in the transaction. I didn't have to pick up the phone and call Steve at headquarters or the gentleman that traded me and figure out about the warranty programs and plans. This is very simple. I just punch in the information the customer provided to me, and I get the most relevant information on the backside. We have a gold package. It's very, very simple, and I didn't lose any momentum. So you're back to that speed, efficiency, and accuracy. Another example that we've implemented here in this demo is around the motor phase. So again, this could be an area of not everybody has the same level of understanding, the customer as well as the salesperson. And let's say the customer comes in and they say, Sergey, I've been buying these for years. I know exactly what I want, and I want that single phase 50 hertz, and I don't want to hear about any other options. Let's just go ahead and get that booked out. Well, if I follow the advice of the customer and select the 50 hertz, Cpq Sync is going to flag this. This particular example is going to hit a constraint and actually give me a policy tip internally that I can see that's indicating that this isn't a good fit, and I have to make a decision here to get it back on track. So me as a salesperson have an opportunity to kind of educate and give some constructive feedback to the customer that we need to really look at some other options, like at 60 hertz, this is going to work. And flipping it to the 60 hertz actually satisfy the compatibility finder, and we can actually apply that and get this back on track. You can also use these in conjunction. I have these broken up separately just to kind of really clarify which is what, but these layer on top of each other can get very complex in honing down the exact right output that you're looking for. We'll slide on down. And the last one I want to show you here is around relationship rules, or sometimes you'll hear with parent-child relationship with products. And let me flip it to card view so you get a good look at this. And what we have here is with the DG series, or the main core parent product, you have a whole list of accessory items that support that product. The story that I always tell with this is I boxed out some time on a Sunday afternoon to do some work on a car, and I called into the parts vendor online and told them what I was working on and gave all the information I knew to provide. They asked me some questions. Long story short, they sent me some products, showed up in the mail, and on Sunday, my short amount of time to work on this, I pull out these parts and look at what I'm about to do, and it turns out they're all wrong. It doesn't work. It's not the right parts. Very frustrating for me. I'm just a guy trying to do work on a Sunday afternoon. These are enterprise, air compressors for large, corporate business that, they have a lot of money on the line. If I were to send out a bunch of the wrong hoses, it could be very disruptive. These are perishable items. They probably fail from time to time. And if I had the wrong hoses, this customer is going to be very, very upset with me and probably cause them some downtime. So with Cpq Sync, I can align all the child relationship products back to that core parent product, and we can't go sideways with this. This is absolutely a direct fit, and I really can't even assign the wrong products to this order. So I'll go ahead and add that for conversation's sake, and we'll keep on moving through. Go ahead and save it. It's always a good idea. And we can spot check our build of materials list. So everything that has gone into this build so far, all the different components are available to me. I can look at all these on the fly. And then we can even proceed over to our interactive pricing header. This is pretty unique piece in itself, as we can add a lot of functionality. We can even add professional services at this point, or other type of formula-driven logic, such as discounts. So, this customer's been giving me a hard time. He was really pushing me about the frequency of the motor. That wasn't the right move. I had to kind of coach him on that. Now he's telling me he's not going to purchase this unless he gets a discount. Well, I just want to close the deal. So I'm going to see if I can see a 15% discount will make him happy. We can go up to the top level pricing header and see what that equates to. And that works, right? So I have some ability to add some further discounts. In other examples that we've done, we can even make this an uplift. So if it's a margin uplift to this purchase, we can do that, or other type of adjustment to support the price list that we're using in this example. So if I save this, we can take a look at, well, like I said, we did the discount. So within Dynamics, you can also tack on a workflow revision. So, Sergey doesn't give away all the deals and lose money on all the products. So we could actually have leadership come in, spot check this, and send it on back down the road. And we can have this provision and set your finance and operations for fulfillment. But let's get this document set back out to the customer and get a sale under our belt. So if we go over to our generate proposal, this document set creator actually pulls all the different revisions that I just made through the configurator, compiles them together in real time. So this is a very simple example, but it could get extremely complex when you think about boilerplate language. Let's say if certain products or services, have like software, the software could have terms, conditions to layer onto that. We could pull that document into it. And in our example today, we did have, we had warranty services, so we'll see those populate as well. Let's go and make sure it's saved back to their account set. It's always good. Made some changes there. Let's look at Mr. John Doe. His products in line here, back to Dynamics. We'll pull it again. And this happens in real time. So we're not actually leaving Dynamics. We'll still be in the same landscape here. All right. And so it should pull and download, and here it comes. So the document produced in real time. And so the documents in itself, if you can create a Word document, which, in this day and age, most of us can, it's very simple to produce these. It's really, use the constructs of using Microsoft Word and compiling these templates, and the templates react based on your selections within Cpq Sync. Very, very simple. This mapped the customer information straight from Dynamics. It offers up a template, thank you email response. I appreciate your business. Call me for more. And if you slide on down, you can see the actual build out of the products we selected. Remember, we had an air hose. We have the compressor itself, total pricing. We also have options if you want to break this out and see a line item, the bill of materials on the document set. That's option for you as well. Now, we did select the warranty. So the warranty program content was injected into the document set, so it pulls through its custom output on the documents. And then the rest of it entails such as boilerplate language. How do you utilize the support services? Who do you reach out to? What are those expectations? And then terms and conditions, but these are completely flexible. You could even go as far as to have other types of documents in scope, out of scope, whatever fits the current application or problem at hand. But that's the tail end of it. I'm excited to share that with you. And if any questions surface, you can contact me now or later. Always happy to help out. Rick, I'll turn it back to you. You're ready to continue on to the rest of the presentation.
Okay, Sergey, thank you very much. And I think everybody could see that he never left Dynamics, even though he was using Cpq Sync, right? Because it's a solution built right into Dynamics 365 sales. So nice job. So right now, that's the end of our official presentation. If anybody wants more of a deep dive, absolutely, please reach out to us and let us know, and we'll make sure that gets set up for you. But do we have any questions in the question chat box, Susan?
At this time, we don't have any in the chat box.
Okay.
But if anybody has any that they'd like to ask now, please feel free to do so. We'd love to be able to answer any questions you have right now. So please go ahead and type them in. If you don't, and you want to ask questions offline, please feel free to reach out to your contacts at Covenant, Dave Friedrich, Steve Thomas, and their team. I know that they'd be happy to work with you and bring us in to help answer any other questions that you may have. Dave, did you have anything that you'd like to say as we wrap up?
Oh, I just wanted to tell Sergey and Rick, thank you very much. I think you guys did an awesome job today.
Thank you.
Great presentation, and really excited about anything that the attendees on the call may have questions. We'd love to go through these now, or again, reach out to Steve, myself, or any of your client managers at Covenant. We'd be happy to help you guys with any questions.
And Steve, we'd like to thank you for hosting today and pulling this webinar together and inviting us to show your clients what Cincom and Cpq Sync can do for you. So we appreciate your time and your efforts on this as well. So thank you very much.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
All right, with that, I think we can end the webinar. Steve, did you have anything you'd like to say? I saw you pop on the screen.